You're absolutely correct. This really is a statement of ignorance, total ignorance of the current administration. In fact, we have submitted petitions, as I said before, and petitions have been signed by leading national experts in this field. So it's very, very difficult to comprehend how Dr. Hamburg, who's an MD, who has a respected and respectable background, and not, however, in the areas we're talking about, has warned food companies from making from selling products with undesirable ingredients, and warned them, and yet has ignored petitions which have laid out in detail the hazards which I just talked about, and the hazards of breast, colon, and prostate cancers, and of the inhibition of natural defense mechanisms against early cancers. It's like Alice in Wonderland. You know the facts which are true, the facts which I mentioned are true and undeniable, and the petitions which have been sent to Dr. Hamburg have been signed and endorsed by leading national experts. But yet, it's incomprehensible how Dr. Hamburg can have failed to act on this. And I just can say no more.
Well,
Sorry.
This is not our first encounter for listeners to this site with Dr. Hamburg. She's also has another interesting interaction in those who are interested in health, in that she worked for Henry Schein prior to her arrival at the FDA, and during her time with Henry Schein, she acquired stock at worth millions of dollars and actually was paid a hefty salary. And she failed to disclose this when she overrode a decision which required the dental communities to just tell the public that amalgam fillings, the silver fillings, are not silver, that they are 50% mercury. So this warning label was removed on her bequest. And the conflict of interest here is that Henry Schein is the largest single seller or producer, not seller, the seller of or distributor of amalgam fillings. So,
well, I beg your pardon. I'd heard rumors of this.
It's true,
but I'd never seen. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I've heard rumors, but I had never seen any documentation to this effect. And in the absence of documentation, I just assumed they were rumors.
No.
So I'm grateful to you for drawing this to my attention, and would very much like you, at your convenience when you get back to this country, I gather you're going away the whole time, to email me some of this information.
Well, you or anyone else could easily do this. Just go to our site, use a search engine, and type in Margaret Hamburg. I've done 2 extensive interviews with Charlie Brown, who is the leading counsel for the Consumers for Dental Choice, and he's leading the charge on this and seeking to expose this travesty of justice to the public and trying to give it overturned. He's actually filed litigation against this and is in the process of working that through the system.
Well, I had missed this, and I'm very grateful to you for drawing it to my attention, and will certainly go into this further.
Okay, good. So, I mean, this is not her first time. She's developing a history of not being a strong supporter of those who are interested in health. But rather those who are interested in corporate policies is what her main story is.
So in other words, what I'm saying now is no real surprise to you.
No surprise to me at all. It's exactly what I expect from Dr. Hamburg. She's absolutely consistent. At least you can give that to her. She's consistent.
You say that as though that's a merit of consistency. Okay.
Well, we'll know what to expect from her the next time.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to have this information. Actually, I'm sorry to hear about it, but I'm glad to have the information. Anyway, so based on the concerns which I've just mentioned, the Cancer Prevention Coalition, with about a half a dozen leading national experts, including past chairman of the American Public Health Association and others, we petitioned the FDA actually about 3 or 4 years ago, in 2007, to label, way before she got on the scene, to label RBGH milk with explicit cancer warnings, and no response. And in the absence of any response, we resubmitted this petition to Dr. Hamburg, and we're still waiting for a response. And from what you tell me, I'm going to have to wait a long time for a response. Anyway, let's move on to the next of the areas of the foods for which she said she warned against companies of selling products which are masking undesirable ingredients. Anyway, let's move on to the next one, which is meat. Now, U.S. cattle are implanted with natural or synthetic sex hormones prior to entering feedlots 100 days prior to slaughter. That is, in other words, a pellet. A hormone pellet is implanted in the skin, under the skin of the ear, which contains either natural or synthetic sex hormones, and that's just before they're going to the feedlots. And the object is to increase meat yields and the profits by about 10%, which is a hell of a lot of money. So it's highly profitable. Now, not surprisingly,
because
meat.
And it's profitable because these hormones are relatively inexpensive. They're cheap to do.
Well, the hormones cost virtually nothing, but you get an extra 10% muscle carcass weight. That's where the big money comes in. So we're talking about multi-millions of dollars.
Yeah.
10% increased carcass weight.
And anyone running a business would understand this, because that 10% increase is pure 10% to the bottom line. It's because there's no additional cost other than the virtually insignificant cost of the materials and labor to insert that hormone. So it's just 10% pure profit. There's no additional cost to it.
My dear chap, additional cost to the public.
Well, I'm talking about from the perspective of
I'm talking about public health. You're talking about economic costs.
Well, just to help the listeners understand the motivation behind it. This is a purely profit move or economic ploy, and to the harm and danger of the public, which is, you're one of the leaders, the pioneers out there who are leading the charge to protect the public, because most of the federal authorities who are mandated to do this aren't doing their job, and we're just so right. We're so grateful for people, for leaders and professionals like yourself to really stick up for the defenseless public, because they don't have the training to discern the differences.
Yeah, but I must point out, it's all very well having a handful or group of leaders, what you call leaders, who look into these issues, but in the absence of getting this information out to the public, which you're doing, it's nothing. In other words, I'm wasting my time. If I don't get this information out to the public, and you are one very, very important way of publicizing this information. So in a sense, we work hand in glove. I do try to get it out through Huffington Post and through press releases, but I don't reach the general public in the way that you do. So it's really, in a sense, this is a partnership. And it's a partnership which I'm very proud to be a member of.
Well,
let's move on.
Good. Okay. Stop patting each other on the back, but it's teamwork, and we all have our part and role to play, and the people who benefit are people listening to this, and they can take the information, apply it, and spread it to their friends and relatives, and that protect them from the dangers that are so clear if you understand what the real issues